All right. So I wanted to talk about the, I guess, landscape as a whole lately of like gaming live services, concepts, I guess, in general, right? I mean, so Concord shut down to anybody's surprise that was actually paying attention to all that. Concord shut down, or shutting down, I guess, tomorrow. Um, And yeah, that's one of those that I don't know, man. It was so the thing that was interesting was like, okay, well, maybe I don't need 50%. Let's slow this down a little bit. Aligning myself here. Um, I wasn't surprised. That game when they finally showed that it was a hero shooter, and the fact that it's so far behind the trend, right? And it doesn't feel like it does a lot to buck the trend, I guess, right? Its concepts of how it was going to be like have a narrative, like week by week or month by month or whatever, is something that I do think some of these other service games should lean into. Overwatch should. What's the other? There's another hero shooter in there. I can't even remember now. But it's one of those things where it's like, hey, there should be a narrative with some of these characters that you're making, right? These characters are cool, they're interesting, they're unique. And if your opinion is that Concords weren't, which mine, I agree, I don't feel like they were that grasping. It's just hard, right? Like, so there's another hero shooter that's literally about to come out, and it's going to be Marvel, right? And even if even if it only has a couple of weeks, it's free to play. So that's something that we should talk about, right? Is the landscape of like a barrier to entry is getting really hard to get over. I feel like earlier this year, Helldivers was in a good spot to do so because it just kind of felt like there wasn't a whole lot multiplayer wise, right? We've had really good single player games coming in. Well, not just single players, but I mean, Baldur's Gate you can play with other people, but it's a narrative. It's like it's that super heavy narrative. There's not like a gameplay loop. I mean, there is loops, but you know what I mean. Like most of these games is something you do all the time, over and 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 over forever and ever and ever. And the ones that stick, I mean, I don't know why they stick, but they do. Like, I've been getting on and playing League almost every night. I don't know. It just is what it is. You know what I mean? There's something about them. But Marvel's got that thing, right? Where it's like, hey, you're getting on and playing these characters you like, Spider-Mans and Venoms and Magnetos, and I think Magneto's in it. I'm not sure. Anyways, Doctor Doom, that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? It's like there's already some established, there's like pre-established, right? But that doesn't mean you instantly make your live service a great game that's gonna last forever. Because the thing being is this. Avengers, literally Avengers the game came and went. You know what I mean? Like that happened. There was an Avengers game that came and went. It's gone. Now did it make enough money to recoup? I'm not sure. I mean, I haven't right here. This is just my raw feelings, right? I haven't really like delved into to see who or what was a loss. Concord at this point has to be a loss because they're refunding everything. It's probably just gonna be some kind of tax write-off for the company. That being said, this goes into more than just that. Like everyone's got their different ways of doing things, and it feels like if you guys aren't aware, so back when the 360 was out, online multiplayer, Call of Duties, Halos, Gears of War, racing games, thing of that nature, sports games, that all kind of took off, really hardcore. And a lot of people had consoles then. And now it feels like we're kind of in an era where it's like there's a ton of consoles, but the thing is mobile, right? So it's just, there's so many ways to sparse out, but there's only so many games that people can spend their money on. There's only so many microtransactions you're going to be able to pull out of people. Only so many live service games that want most of your time that people are going to be able to get into. And that's just like what all these companies are seeing. They're like, hey, a Fortnite model or like a mobile game model, where we can just monetize over and over and over and over, and people keep paying and keep playing. There's only so much of that can be had. Like at some point, your market is going to start getting saturated. It's kind of like I think with Game Pass, like they kinda started to hit their plateau, because if you can't move consoles, and the people on PC and these other services that you offer Game Pass on, if they don't adopt it, you've saturated. So it's like, well, they're still going out here, and I think Xbox is in a bad way in certain ways, right? Because they have gotten the big eye of Sauron on them by spending billions and billions in acquisitions. Okay, well, when you do that, if Xbox was losing the money, if it was just a little bit of money, it's not that big of a deal to Microsoft, right? Like, okay, so what? This one division is not pulling right now, okay? But when you start spending billions and billions of dollars, and if you don't turn that around, the big eyeball is going to start looking at you, okay? So here's the thing about it. I think PlayStation's in a shit spot. That's the only way to say it. I'm fully under the impression, and I don't, no one in these comments is going to change my mind. Whoever you are, you're not changing my mind on this. Jim Ryan got pushed out of PlayStation, of Sony. He got pushed out because basically they were on the, he came in on the coattails of all these other projects that were in place. These really good, you know, people call them walking sims, and they have been similar type games. You know, The Last of Us, the God of War, the Horizon, those games, Uncharted, those games have been similar vein styles of games. I admit it. It doesn't mean they're bad, right? Some of them are super good, right? I started to sour on Horizon quite a bit compared to the others. Like, I think it's just like, it just feels boring. The world is amazing, but the acting and the actual gameplay itself just it doesn't keep me entertained. It feels like, you know, the main character is putting all the work in, and everybody else, except Lance, it's just boring. So what do I mean by that? Like, they're in a shit spot. You're talking about all those good things, Landon. You know what I mean? I got the Ragnarok axe back here. You know what I mean? Leviathan axe, not Ragnarok. Here's what I mean. They canceled a bunch of games that were in the pipeline. And then we finally got, what, Foam Stars came out? Anybody heard of Pete from Foam Stars? Like, since it came out? All right, we got Concord. It's been out for 7-8 days. It's canceled. Housefly had lived longer than Concord's release. I just feel like it's a game that should have been like a free-to-play. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not going to have it free-to-play coming out, it's just... even ones that come out with free-to-play don't last. Like Gundam Evolution. Anybody remember that? That was Overwatch. That was basically exactly what Concord is. Gundam Evolution came out. Gundam's established franchise. Don't know how popular it is in the West anymore, but I assume it's still pretty big overseas. And it's gone. It's gone. So, you know, where's that leave you? You know what I mean? You got Destiny, right? Destiny also, everyone's kind of like, if you even Google or if you even YouTube it, it's doom and total gloom over there now, right? Because it feels like it was kind of the end of a saga. You know what I mean? It felt like it was in the saga. In my opinion, I'm like, yeah, we should be working on Destiny 3 now. And I know everyone's like, oh, yeah, restart this, redo this, redo this. I'm like, okay, well, redo the formula. Make it a different, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, powers and such and whatnot, but it's like, hey, we do these strikes every week. We do this every week. We do this every week. We do this every week. These 5-6 things that you do every week. Okay, well, come up with some new concept. Have them cooking in the oven. Figure something out. You know what I mean? Change it. If you really want to do something, like, because Destiny has gotten everything it's going to get. It's gotten it all, and we came back one more time, but now we're all leaving again. You know, we came back, and now we're going again. All right. I know that's gonna make the hardcores angry, but is that not the only way you're going to be able to get some of these casuals back in? Is to be like, hey, make the barrier entry easier, redo how things work. Your UI, just the concept of the game, I guess. You know what I mean? You can make Destiny 3 its own thing. It doesn't have to be the same as Destiny 1 2. Not exactly the same. Yes, it should still be a looter shooter. Yes, you should still have powers and stuff, right? The rest of it's open? In my opinion? You know what I mean? Like, you don't gotta have it all the same. You can go to another universe, another galaxy. I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. Destiny... they're worried about it. Now they're looking at, you know, Concord's canceled. Now all the eyes are proverbially on Marathon. Ultimately, some of these things don't matter because like Sony is in bed in some ways, and now they're kind of running out of games at the same time. Now that doesn't mean Sony's going to go away, right? What that means is, hey, these third-party games like Final Fantasy, they still say it didn't meet expectations. I'm like, that company's going to have to get its head out of its own ass, because like there's got to be something wrong, right? That game is very good. I don't know what kind of levels they need stuff to sell, but that Square Enix is in a bad way its own self. Sony's in a bad way because they're like, oh, we don't have IPs, right? I'm like, well, you can bring back stuff like Sly Cooper. Like, you let stuff go like Spyro and Crash and you know, there's other games that you could be able to bring back, right? Like, you know, Killzone, right? Killzone was that was a PlayStation? Stuff like that. Like, I mean, there's things you can bring back, right? They're about to launch Astrobot like tomorrow. Astrobot looks good. Astrobot looks good. It looks like a style of game that, like, that should be there. I bet Astrobot will sell well. I bet it will. And I'll be glad for it to sell well. All the references and, you know, the history. I mean, you know, it's like, there's not been a Bloodborne remaster. Where is it? Where is that Bloodborne? You know, there's things that you could... You got ingredients, you just ain't using them. You keep going to the onion powder. Keep going to the garlic powder. They're good, but I'm not going to put it on every meal. I won't. You know what I'm saying? And it's not for everybody. You got things in the kitchen, you just ain't using them. And the thing is that everyone wants that live service. Everyone wants that Fortnite, right? The Fortnite. I get sidetracked. What I'm saying is they don't have... PlayStation ain't really got nothing on their own this year, but Wukong selling good, Final Fantasy selling, college football coming back and selling. Next year, I think this is opinion. I bet you that PlayStation is going to have all the marketing rights for GTA. I bet you they're going to pay to market GTA, and they're going to get stuff for GTA, and everybody's going to get a PS5 for GTA, right? That's just how I feel. Because when you get to the point where it's like, hey, college football wasn't on a past gen console, people had to get them. You're at that point where people are just like playing Apex, or just playing COD, they're just playing these games that you keep updating on the old system, so no one's got the new hardware, right? I don't say no one. People are not adopting it like they were in the past gens, where it was like, you had like 8 months, 9 months, and then there's no more games coming out on that old console. You know what I mean? But things are still being updated, things still work, you still play every day. That's the day and age we're in. And I feel like on the Xbox's side of this equation, I feel like they're going to get out of the hardware market eventually. Now, it may be like a niche thing where it's like not... They still might call it an Xbox, but they're going to have to do something. And this is my opinion. They got to get a storefront that works on PC. And the thing is, like, if you can... I don't know if you would just integrate with Steam and then you would just make a box that can use Steam. Like I don't even know. Basically, it'd be like a PC. It'd just be like a PC. You know what I mean? It'd be like a less expensive PC box or something. You know what I mean? I don't know how you work that, but they got really, really smart people that get paid a whole lot more money than I do. So that's what I think they're going to do. I think they want to lean into the streaming and the mobile, and eventually it might be an Xbox / not Xbox. It's just a box that, like, it can connect to Epic Store, Microsoft Store, or at least Xbox's Store and Game Pass, right? There's got to be something that connects them. Sony, on the other hand, they don't have nothing in the pipeline. And I think they were trying to do too many service games. Everyone's like, hey, just keep making service games. People just pay money out the yin yang, which they do. Don't get me wrong, they definitely do all the time. There's a mobile game I play, it's Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. It just made, I think it was $38 million in a month. 38 million in a month. And the month after it was 26 million. So in 2 months, they've made 50-something million, 60-something million, basically. It's unreal. It's unreal. And that game is 10 years old. Well, it's almost 10 years old. It's 9 years old. It's very close to 10 years old. That's just the, you know what I mean? Like, it's established property. It's a thing that people, it's a gotcha game. Like, honestly, if Sony just needs to make money, they need something like Genshin Impact. You know what I mean? Just some Gooner game, just some Gooner gotcha game. Send it out there, throw it out there, and be done with it. It's just weird. The only person that doesn't feel in a bad spot to me is Nintendo. And my whole thing is, I just wish Nintendo would make a system that would at least run 60. I just want 60. I don't care if it's 720 60. I really want 1080 60. That's what I want. But I would love to play that Tears of the Kingdom at 60. You know what I mean? Without modding it or whatever, or emulating. I would love to. I would love to. They have pretty good properties, and occasionally I clown them because it's like sometimes they release a Mario game and it's like, dude, this is the same shit. This is the exact same shit. And then they release a Mario and I play it and I'm like, wow. Like a different one, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like Galaxy or something like that. I'm like, oh, dang, that was really fun. You know what I mean? It's like they go back and forth, I guess, for classic people and people want something a little bit new, right? It's kind of like go both ways. And, it's like they got properties that is like, I feel like Pokemon is as big as Nintendo, or Pokemon's as big as Xbox, bigger. You know what I mean? Like it's unreal. They're so big that they're almost as big as what they're in. It's so strange. Some of those franchises are humongous. So what I'm saying is just like there's too many live services, and there's also too many like flops that feel like flops before they come out. And it's not me praying that they flop. I'm looking at it, and my opinion is, yeah, this just doesn't look like it's going to be that great. Like there's a lot of production in this. You can feel and see there's been money spent, but has it been spent in the right spots? You know what I mean? The right ways? Like, how long is it taking to make these games? You would think by now there'd be some kind of, I don't know, people will get together and make some kind of basic. It's hard because it's art, right? You're trying to combine art with business. And you're also trying to do microtransactions and stuff, so you're really trying to squeeze the lemon there. It's just not a great time, but also it's not that bad, because it's like, I mean, there's really good games. Final Fantasy, Wukong. We're about to get, Helldivers was good, but then people said that they kept nerfing stuff. That's a problem. The player count dropped off, and it's like, okay, well then you're going to have your core audience. Of course it's going to fall off. It's not going to be the peak. Like people talking about Wukong, like, yeah, Wukong's not going to have 2 million players at the end of the year. December and January, it's not going to have 2 million players a day. Of course, people are going to be done with it. It's like Hogwarts. Hogwarts sold like hotcakes. And people play it and they're like, oh, is it a problem that no one's playing it anymore? I'm like, are they trying to sell stuff in the game besides some little DLC? They didn't do big DLC, it was little DLC. No? Okay, well, it sounds like I bought the game. It had an experience of 60 to 80 to 100 hours. I played 85 hours. I beat the game. It sounds like, hey, here's your money. Here's my experience. I was happy. Are you happy? You're happy. You made a lot of money. Hey, babe, there we go. We're done. We're done. You know what I mean? Like, are you making a thing for engagement? Are you making a thing to make some money? Like, are you making things to make a political statement, right? That's the thing we're getting into this day as well. What are you making it for? What is the goal? Do we want to make these stockholders happy? Do we want to make this a sustainable thing for a long future? We need to start figuring out what we're doing beforehand. We can't be spending $800 million, $500 million in 6, 7, 8 years on games for them to flop. Okay, we can't be doing Suicide Squads. We can't be doing Concords. You can't do that. In this day and age, you only got like maybe one of those. I think back in the day, I mean, it still costs money, right? But it's 2 years, 3 years. Some people made games like 2.5 years. It was insane. And that means like development, right? I'm not talking about all the pre-development, planning, and all that crap. I'm not talking about that. It was like 2-3 years, they were churning them out. It's probably simpler, right? You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is you can't just throw it out there. It's happening everywhere. It's not just games. I mean, they made, they canceled, what was it? Acolyte, Star Wars Acolyte. What was it? Harold and Purple Crayon lost like, I don't know, $200 million or something like that. It was some movie. There's all kinds of things like that coming out. And I'm just like, I don't know if you guys just really don't have a grasp anymore. Like, as soon as I saw what Concord was, I was like, this is doomed. It's doomed. It's not free to play. It's $40. It's not some pre-established IP. It's some new IP. New IPs ain't bad, but you gotta be something, right? What is that? Is it called South of Midnight? Or I can't remember the name now. It's it's like that hack and slash Bayou looking game that Xbox showed off this year. I think it's called South of Midnight, isn't it? Might be wrong. It is called South of Midnight, I'm pretty sure. That's right. South of Midnight. Let me show you. South of Midnight. Like this game? This game right here? Like it's unique. You know what I mean? It's unique. And I haven't seen something like this. And I'm interested. It's a new IP. You know? I'm actually interested. And yeah, it's on the Xbox side of things, but that doesn't matter to me. That's not really that's not what makes this unique. The Xbox isn't selling this. Not to me. Like, you know, there's nothing wrong. Like, this is the type of game. It's a third-person game. There ain't nothing wrong with it, man. There's nothing wrong with doing something new. It just gotta kind of be good enough. It's gotta be interesting. It's gotta be grasping in a way. You can't just throw out these things like they just come and go without a whimper, you know? So yeah, I mean, I've been ranting for a long time now, but what I'm saying is like, it's not the fact that I want to be like, oh, you know, I just want to hate on this and that. It's not that. It's just, it feels obvious. Concord felt like you're playing with a flat ball. You're already against the grain. You're already putting yourself in a bad way. I don't know who thought this, who put this through. And honestly, what makes me even more angry is like seeing all the Twitter people. They're like, "Oh, Redfall didn't get canceled." I'm like, "Yeah, it should have. It should have. It should have been taken off. It should be just thrown in the garbage. I'm sorry. Redfall should have just been thrown in the garbage. Sorry, bro. That's just the fact of the matter. It should have done the same thing. Take a tax break, and then. But then this is what gets me too. You turn around and you let something go like Hi-Fi Rush. That goes back, right? So Sony has to get back into their groove. Then they have their IPs. We need Sly Cooper's back. I need my 30th anniversary of Soul Reaver. We need Bloodborne. We need there should be more Crash games. There should be more Spyro games. Bring back old stuff you've already done. Just revive it. You know what I mean? Revive stuff in a new age, a new way. I'm not saying Sony's going to have those because I understand they're over on Activision side now, right? Some of those are, but you know, like Sly Cooper, Sly's been gone forever. Ratchet & Clank was just out, but I don't know if it moved the needle. You know, you gotta land it. You still gotta land it. And you can't. The thing is, you just can't shit on the people that have always been involved. You know, that's the thing, right? Like you can't just take like Halo, for instance. This is just an example. And you can't just like make Chief like the second fiddle of the entire game. Right? Like Halo 2 happened, I get it. But they pulled it off well. It was opposite perspective, but you can't just take it. You can't make me play some other Spartan and care as much as I would about Chief. It might still work, but you just can't do it, right? Like you took Ratchet & Clank and they made you play some other character like most of the game. What do you do? You know what I mean? Like it's like, okay, well this is not for me. I guess this is not for me. I'm sorry, this shirt is old and worn out. I keep looking down. It's like neck's just stretched way out. I don't know, man. Sony says they gotta get back in their IP. They gotta stop wasting the money and they gotta stop wasting time, because the thing is, like, there's nothing this year. There's nothing for Sony. And as far as we know, I'm not really sure if there's anything next year. Is there? Let's see. Sony, PlayStation. 2025. What does it say? Yeah, this is 24. Sony does not plan on releasing any major franchise titles before April 2025. That means they're not even the first quarter of next year. They're not even releasing anything, bro. Yeah. They pushed Jim Ryan out. Okay. His retirement is getting his ass out because they didn't have nothing. They ran out. The pipeline ran dry. It ran dry. To be announced releases. I mean, we got 2KXO coming out sometime. Avowed is coming out. They got pushed back. Borderlands. Death Stranding. Death Stranding is going to come out next year. Let's see. What else is there? Is it just PS5 only is my question. Grand Theft Auto is going to be a massive deal. Oh, yeah. Indiana Jones is coming to it. Like, there's not any reason to even have Xbox anymore, in my opinion, dude. I'm sorry. There's just, like, not a reason to have it anymore. I don't know, man. I used to be so hyped on Xbox, and now I'm just not. I'm more of a hater on Xbox than I was a fan now. It's insane. I'm just like, I don't feel like I just don't understand what you guys are doing. I'm looking for PS5 only, and I've only seen one. And the Switch 2 is supposed to come out. I mean, we'll have Monster Hunter, right? Monster Hunter's coming out, GTA. I mean, they're all third party. There's not anything that's like super big first party, like I guess Death Stranding in a way. I mean, we got Doom. Thank God Doom's coming out. So, yeah, that's where we're at, guys. It's just it's not that things are bad. It's just like, hey, maybe we should stop wasting money on these new things and just do what we're good at. Is that a hard thing to think about? Do what you're good at, right? Dude, what a concept. Maybe we should just do what we're good at. And take money from GTA and the third-party sales, and take money from COD and the third-party sales, and, you know, charge a fee for having it on our platform that sells, like, hundreds of millions of copies. Maybe we should just keep doing that. And then maybe we take a step back and release like a PlayStation All-Star Fighters 2 or something like that. You know what I mean? Where it's like, hey, there's some skins and stuff for all these Sony IPs that we apparently don't have, that we don't have enough of. And support that. And do that. Because, I mean, you know, what to say about the PS5 Pro? Like, is the PS5 Pro going to be even stronger? Like, is it going to be stronger? Because then this, like, Xbox actually doesn't have anything but Game Pass. When the PS5 Pro comes out, if it's stronger, there won't be, Xbox won't have that whole, hey, things are bigger, better over here, which I feel like the Series S, like, it kind of cut its own legs out from underneath it. We've talked about all of this stuff, me and my buddy Garrett, we've talked about all of this, but I just want to make a video. I just kind of want to make a little rant, just talk about it, just like my opinion is, you know, maybe we need to do what we're good at here, guys. And maybe we should stop greenlighting as many projects. You know? Maybe that should be the case. I'm not saying, you know, it feels weird because it's like all of a sudden you see these indies, and yeah, there's indies released every day, but all of a sudden an indie releases and it sells like 1 million copies. And that person's like, oh my God, I've never ever expected anything like this. And like they do super well for themselves. I don't know, dude. I don't know. It just feels, it feels like things are bad, but things are good. A lot of people are getting laid off, and I'm like, well, you know, it kind of makes sense if you spent 8 years making a game and it got shut down in 8 days. Yeah, I think that's probably what happens. When you spend that much money and that much time doing something and it just flops, and that could be the company's fault. The head people's fault that decided to make this in this direction, but it's just a matter of the fact. I mean, if McDonald's next year loses $80 billion, if no one buys fast food anymore, and McDonald's loses $80 billion, I don't know if they'd be a company anymore. I mean, they might have that much money, I don't know, but you know what I'm saying, right? It's an extreme example. If everybody stopped eating fast food tomorrow, do you not think that these places would just shut down? That's kind of the point. Make money. Make some money. Yes, art. I get it, but they gotta make money. And when you shut it down after so many years, I don't believe the 8 years thing, by the way. I think like 5 or 6, but everyone's saying 8 years. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about the current gaming state. Let me know what you play. Like, what is it when you get on? Are you one of these people that get on and play Madden every day? Do you get on and play Fortnite every day? Like, do you just kind of like, I kind of like just going around looking at everything that's in the past that I've missed kind of these days. Buying stuff like I'm going to be laid off till the end of time, you know, at the Steam sales, and I just have endless backlog. That's what I like doing. And I'll just fire up League after this and get on with it, right? I'll just play the same game I've been playing for 10 years. It's cool. Don't worry about it. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you. We'll catch you next time.